Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Just bear with us, please. We do apologize. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We invite you to stand as we welcome Her Excellency Baroness Jennifer Chapman of Darlington, United Kingdom Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Latin America. And we also welcome at this time the Honorable Prime Minister Philip Davis. Let's give them a Ministry of Education welcome. We're going to invite you at this time to please put your cell phones on mute or, just close them off. We're also going to invite you to remain standing. And to honor our guest, we're going to ask right now that you please listen, if you don't know the song, the national anthem of the United Kingdom and Ireland, and that will be followed by the national anthem of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Please remain standing. Please remain standing for the national anthem of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We invite you to remain standing as we are going to honor God by asking the Religious Studies Education Officer, Ms. Ruth Penniman, to invite God's presence with the invocation.
Good morning. We invite the presence of God into Dame Ivy Dumont building this morning as we witness an important event of the handing over of historical documents from the British archives to the Bahamas government. Let us pray. The Heavenly Father, you are a God of wonder. You're awesome. You are a kind and loving God. And this morning, we salute your supremacy. As we gather here today with a spirit of gratitude and reverence, as we witness the handing over of these precious documents, the historical documents from the British High Commissioner, to the Bahamas government, we give you praise, we give you thanks. These are not just papers, but they are the voices of our ancestors, the chronicles of our past. And they are the foundation of our identity. We thank you for opportunities like these where we can reclaim our history, where we can reclaim precious documents so that we can continue to understand the full story of our country, our nation. Father, we thank you for those who led or played an integral role in the transfer of these documents. We pray, oh God, that they will be a beacon of truth, a beacon of integrity, and may they unite us for generations to come. We pray a special blessings on our proceedings today. And may these documents will continue to help us uncover and embrace the full story of our nation. May we bridge the past with the present and the future. We lift these things unto you, we pray, in Jesus' name. And God's people say, Amen. Thank you.
You may be seated. The Honorable Prime Minister Philip Davis, Her Excellency Baroness Jennifer Chapman of Darlington, the United Kingdom, Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Latin America and the Caribbean, His Excellency Tom Hartley, British High Commissioner to the Bahamas, the Honorable Glenys Hanna Martin, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, and today our Acting Minister for Foreign Affairs, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Director of Education, Ms. McCartney Russell, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Lorraine Umbrister, Deputy Directors, Deputy Permanent Secretary. I see present the Director of the National Archive, Ms. Patrice Williams, the Director of Antiquities and Museum Corporation, Mr. Don Cornish. We have assistant directors and representatives from the from the University of the Bahamas, as well as we have representatives from throughout the historical landscape. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It was in December of 1972 when the multi-party independence conference was held at Clarence House in London. The Bahamas Independence Bill passed its third reading in the British House of Commons. What was the count? 74 to 4. And the House of Lords, it was 50 to 11. And it became law on June the 12th, 1973. Let's fast forward. We received our independence. It was on July the 10th, 1973, when the father of the nations, the Lyndon Pinland, spoke on historic Clifford Park. In attendance was His Majesty. He was then young Prince Charles, now King Charles III of the United Kingdom and Ireland. But what stood out on this momentous occasion was the speech led by our great leader at that time. He said, and I quote, "We have gone out of the way to protect the rights of the underprivileged while not losing sight of the human apprehensions of the privileged. We have endeavored to give equality under the law to the majorities and the minorities, the rich and the poor alike." He added, "We have preserved and affirmed the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, irrespective of race, their place of origin, political affiliation, their creed or sex, subject only to the rights and freedoms of others and the public interest." What a powerful statement that marked our independence. This speech, ladies and gentlemen, shed light on why there was a need to have an independent Bahamas. It is also part of the archival information that is going to be passed on here today. This morning, we are pleased to participate in this special handover ceremony, which encapsulates digitized work on the road to independence. Independence Day celebrations are also going to be discussed. Independence, 10 years of the geopolitical and bilateral implications. Who can forget Abaco and his secession movements? Who can forget there was an issue of defense, policy, and drafting of our Constitution of the Bahamas? In all, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, we are here to receive a compact history that has helped to unravel the development of this great country. And I am so thankful that I am part of history in the making today. We will invite at this time our permanent secretary, Mrs. Lorraine Ambrister, to now come and welcome you as we start this special ceremony. Give her a round of applause.
Many thanks, A.D. Baker. To the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Philip Davis, to Her Excellency Baroness Jennifer Chapman of Darlington, United Kingdom Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Latin America and the Caribbean, His Excellency Mr. Thomas Hartley, to the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, members of the Diplomatic Corps. We wish to welcome, of course, our Director of Education and our Director of Archives. Also, the Chairman of the Archives Board, Mr. Michael Tooth. Also, we have Mr. Don Cornish, the Chairman of the National Museum Corporation. Of course, Mr. Michael Bateman, and other members of the AMMC. We also welcome Undersecretary Sonia Culmer, back from vacation. Good to see you, Ms. Culmer. Deputy Permanent Secretaries, Deputy Directors of Education, the Assistant Directors of Education, representatives from the University of the Bahamas, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And anybody who I may have missed, I do apologize. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this momentous occasion, marking a significant chapter in the relationship between the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And A.D. Baker has such a history of these things, and she's really laid it all out. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for that history text to come out. But anyway, I digress. Together, we gather not only to celebrate the gift of treasured artifacts which encompass digitized digitize and publication of 67 documents once held in British archives about Bahamian independence, but we celebrate a momentous occasion for the Bahamian public. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Her Excellency Baroness Jennifer Chapman of Darlington, United Kingdom Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Latin America and the Caribbean. Your presence here today underscores the importance of this event and the commitment of the United Kingdom to fostering meaningful partnerships with the nations of the Caribbean. And I'm so pleased that you're getting all that swimming in. It's good, and welcome to the Bahamas. We are also privileged to have with us His Excellency Mr. Tom Hartley and the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and the Minister of Finance. Your leadership and vision continues to inspire the growth and development of this remarkable nation, Prime Minister. To the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, I express thanks for your unwavering willingness to excel education in this great country. Your dedication to education and cultural preservation is vital in shaping the future of the Bahamas. Your commitment to safeguarding and celebrating the nation's heritage is commendable and awe-inspiring, really. As we reflect on the significance of this moment, we recognize that the return of these artifacts symbolizes not just the restoration of history, but also a shared commitment to understanding, respect, and cooperation between our nations. And I wanted to stop to say thank you to His Excellency and to Director Williams, because they've been pushing for this, and Michael too. They have been pushing for this forever. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was over 50 years ago when the framers of this nation fought for an independent nation. It was a fight to build a national identity and to help advance the cause of freedom for all Bahamians. Today, we are able to unveil the struggle of independence, but more importantly, support for the struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate a renewed partnership that honors the past by looking forward to a bright future. This handover gift lays the foundation for a vibrant and promising future. The digitized information on all of the undertakings of independence will be stored in the National Archives of the Bahamas. However, all Bahamians will have access to the digitized documents, and our commitment for the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training is to have these documents analyzed, reviewed, taught, and displayed in all education institutions throughout the Bahamas. Thank you for being here to witness this historic event. Let us therefore cherish this occasion as we work together to preserve and promote the rich cultural heritage of the Bahamas. Good morning and thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Permanent Secretary Ambrister. Ladies and gentlemen, the gifts that we are about to receive, we are so thankful for. We are going to encourage all of you here today, from top to bottom, to our students in the back, that once they are on display and once you have access to them, read them, look through them. You're going to learn so much. You would hear perspectives on why it is important to be free. Why is it important to have a national identity? Why should we be an independent nation? Thank God we are one today. And so at this time, we're going to bring him to our podium to introduce our guest of honor who is here. We're going to invite at this time Mr. Tom Hartley, the British High Commissioner. Please give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. Let me stand on an existing protocol, just so I can be brief. But I would particularly like to recognise and thank Prime Minister and Honourable Minister of Education, Glenys Hannah Martin. You have literally rolled out the red carpet for us today, and we are extremely grateful. We have noticed, thank you, whoever was up until the wee hours of the morning putting out chairs and getting this place ready, we really appreciate the honour that you have given us, and we thank you. And to the students at the back, we hope one day these documents will serve you well. So welcome to you especially. The As well as the ministers and the officials that have been recognised, I would like to recognise my dear friend, Patrice Williams, Ms. Williams, as the head of the archives. Please, yeah. As the head of the archives, I know that she's had a personal passion to see this project come to fruition, and has been a good friend on the logistics of it as well. And to Dr. Curry as well, from both representing the AMC and UB, I know today. With whom my wife and I have had many a debate about the importance of moments like this. So thank you and welcome. As High Commissioner, it's absolutely my pleasure to introduce Baroness Chapman, the former Member of Parliament in the UK and now a member of the House of Lords. As previously, she was Political Secretary to our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. And there has been much talk and much fun in the last 24 hours with my minister and the Prime Minister swapping stories about their good friend, Keir Starmer, some which can't be repeated. But now as Minister for the Caribbean, Minister for Latin America, Minister for Small Island States, and Minister for the British Council and Soft Power, it has been a great pleasure of mine to welcome her to the Bahamas. And this, as a project, falls in the sweet spot of many of those responsibilities. This is the Minister's first trip to the Bahamas. She has had great fun literally jumping straight into the Bahamas so far. We took her out to the water yesterday to see the coral reefs, and she has promised this will not be her last visit. In fact, she secretly told me this has been her favorite one so far. So, as I call her up now, you will also be pleased to know that in Darlington, she is patron of a brass marching band. She is Chancellor of a British university in Teesside, and now she's a huge fan of Rake and Scrape as well. So, Minister, please come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That was quite an introduction. It is a real great pleasure to be here. And again, if I can repeat the welcome, particularly to our young friends at the back, it's so important to me, and I'm sure to everybody, that you are here because this is your story. And I know that your Prime Minister wants you to be proud of your story. And I hope that by this today, you'll be able to not just listen to what other people tell you about the Bahamas or what your ministers might say, but you read it for yourself. You read the original documents. They're there for you, so you can make your own mind up about what you think about the Bahamas and your story, because it belongs to you. But thank you to the Honourable Glenys Hannah Martin for hosting this today. And thank you too to my new friend, Prime Minister, dignitaries. Thank you for welcoming me. The UK's historic relationship with the Bahamas is self-evident and a matter of fact. And because our colonial role, much of the Bahamas' pre-independence story is recorded in the United Kingdom. It has its roots in piracy, in shipwrecks, escape from religious persecutions, in slavery, emancipation, and in the rule of law, and economic and political rights that too often have had to be fought for. But like all stories, it is full of positives, twists, heroes, villains, and many moments of friendship and debate. And it's a story that is still being written. So history, your story, it is not a science. There is not one version. No one person will be right about everything. There are many twists and turns. You've got to choose who you want to look up to, who your heroes will be, who your villains will be, and why, what events matter the most to you. And it's for you to write that story here in the Bahamas. But the UK's National Archives is our guardian of records of that story, storing the UK's historical documents, some going back over 1,000 years. It's a public institution where anyone and any Bahamian can visit and read documents of interest, as I know the Prime Minister did in 2023, when he saw papers, including the earliest maps of the UK and the papers relating to the trial of Black Dick DeVoe in Cat Island. And I understand you really enjoyed that visit, Prime Minister. I'm sad I wasn't there with you. Maybe next time. The National Archives' 13.5 billion pages of text, 10 million maps, 40 million aerial photographs, and much more, it's a wonder they can ever find anything, I think, are an unrivaled, rich resource and freely available to the public. But we know that London is a long way away, and for many Bahamians, particularly Bahamian students, perhaps that makes them inaccessible. So following Prime Minister Davis's visit to the National Archives last year, the UK digitised a small number of the UK's archives as part of the Bahamas' 50th anniversary of independence. These 60 plus documents, amassing over 10,000 pages, represent what the UK has stored regarding Bahamian independence. And they roughly fall into 5 boxes. So I'm going to just say a little bit about each one. So the first one is your political journey to independence. So papers in this section include records of Prime Minister Pindling's meetings and lobbying of Her Majesty the late Queen. They include the governor's own thoughts, I would like to read these, about the likelihood of independence, depending on which political party won the subsequent elections, and also records of the Abaco successionist movement, who at the time rejected independence, but I'm sure you never mentioned that. The second box is the Bahamas Constitution and debate. These files record the legislative journey to independence, including handwritten notes by UK officials and ministers on working drafts of the Constitution and the debates in Parliament. For constitutional experts, these papers capture the fascinating process of drafting a nation's constitution. The next box, oh no, sorry, they're still on this box. This box captures the colour of 10th of July, 1973, the records of the visit of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, pictures of the gifts from the UK government, a handcrafted rose bowl engraved with the Bahamas crest, and from the UK's Parliament, a mace, which now sits in front of the Speaker in the House of Assembly. There's also a wonderfully honest record. These are the best ones. This is what you really want to be reading. An honest record of the ceremony celebrating the good nature of Bahamians on the 10th of July, criticising the UK's press, quite rightly, for asking Pindling about his use of a Rolls Royce. Some things just do not change, do they? And the fondness of Prince Charles of the Bahamas, and the surprise by Bahamian officials when a delegation from Morocco arrived, unannounced, but I'm sure they had a warm Bahamian welcome nonetheless. The next box is a post-independence policy and legislation. This set of papers refer to post-independence policy, practical papers of state, including nationality policy, honours policy, and much more. And for good measure, we've also included for you the first British High Commissioner's telegrams to London in July 1974, marking 1 year on. And he said at that time, all good so far. And from 1983, recording progress 10 years after that, a paper capturing the debate about the future of the Turks and Caicos Islands and the rejection at that time of the Bahamian leaders to want Turks and Caicos to join the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And in the last box is the UK and US defence policy, which is finally, and perhaps unsurprisingly, we hold many papers capturing the debate between the UK and the US regarding US defence policy for the Bahamas. And these include Dr. Kissinger's direct lobbying and discussions around maritime access, the continuation of the submarine base in Andros. So there is so much, there's lots of rich content, which I hope will be of interest to the ministry, to historians and to students directly. I'm delighted to be able to hand over these important documents and also to thank Patrice Williams, the Bahamas Director of Archives, who has said digital copies of these papers will be available online soon too. But it is my sincere hope, and one shared by the Honourable Minister of Education, that these papers just do not remain in a box. We want you all and your students and students from the UK to study these, debate them, learn from them, and grow because of them. The High Commission is talking to the ministry about how to incentivize this, perhaps by offering students prizes for writing the best essay, who knows, asking a historian to study and summarize them, or to see the physical records touring schools. And I think from what we've heard, that will be happening across the Family Islands. And we would love your ideas too. But finally, can I just mention scholarships? Chevening is our UK scholarship for anyone who wants to study a master's degree at a British university. It's fully paid, including flights and a stipend. We're pleased to see that the UK is supporting a record number of 5 Bahamian students to study master's programs in the UK as part of the Chevening Scholarship Programme. This year's cohort includes a member of the police force, a doctor, an entrepreneur, and 2 environmental scientists. So I'm looking forward to meeting one of our former Chevening scholars later today, who is a firearms forensic specialist. I'm looking forward to learning what that is. So the application window is open right now, and in recent times we've had no applications, so this is a heavy, heavy hint, but we haven't had applications from teachers or history students, and we'd love to see that this year. And to see that scholar come back to the Bahamas and perhaps even lead this research project, studying the archives papers. But applications close soon, so find out more. And this is on the internet at chevening.org. You can look and see what the application looks like, or you could speak to our High Commission, and I know Mr. Hartley would be glad to speak to anybody who wants to find out more. But in closing, can I just thank everybody here today, the Honourable Minister and the Prime Minister in particular, and thank you to all who've shown such interest in these papers. This means a lot to us, and I'm sure that it means a lot to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baroness Chapman. We want to say to you, Baroness, that there has been a quick move on those documents led by Ms. Patrice Williams, a team assembled at the University of the Bahamas. Part of the team, there were 2 researchers, professors at the university. One I see here present today, Dr. Christopher Curry. He can wave so everyone can see. And we also have, as part of that team that was placed together by Ms. Williams, Dr. Tracy Thompson, myself as the Humanities Assistant Director. We are responsible for history education in the country. We went through a strategic plan of how we are going to disseminate this information to all of our students. Be reassured that those documents are not going to be stayed in those boxes. They're going to be shared throughout our schools, and you will be hearing from us because we are putting some reporting mechanisms in place. One of the things that we have also looked at are some of the things you've suggested in your speech. Having students debate, having symposiums, having competitions where students can either reveal what their findings were, looking at case studies. So we are going to commit to having this shared nationally, and we will be reporting. In fact, Ms. Williams has given us a mandate that we have to have this thing reporting by April of 2025. So you will hear more of it. So thank you for your warm remarks. At this time, I'm going to call our visionary leader, someone who I've grown to, I don't want to say love, respect, but definitely admire. My admiration for this strong woman is birthed from the fact that she has a great vision for education. More so, she has a vision that is not just for today or for tomorrow, but one that can take this country into the next 50 to 100 years. I speak none other of our Honorable Minister, Ms. Glenys Hannah Martin. Would you please come at this time as she introduces our Prime Minister? Thank you.
Oh, please, please, please have a seat. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I too wish to adopt the protocol, particularly because of the late start for non-disclosed reasons, but for which I take full responsibility. But of course, I must recognize the Prime Minister of this great nation and Her Excellency Baroness Jennifer Chapman of Darlington, who has so kindly come to assist in this very important historical moment. I want to thank the British government, through the auspices of the British High Commissioner, for the handover to the Bahamian people in the spirit of cordiality and fraternity. These records give insight into the historic relationship between the British, former colonizers, and our people, the former colonized. It helps us to piece together truth and to harvest a deeper understanding of that experience and the emergence of the Bahamian people in a post-colonial era. It will include the historic narrative around the story of Black Dick, which is not in this initial grouping, but it's here now. It's here now. This will be handed over this morning, of which the Prime Minister will speak more fully. It is critical that we as stakeholders have a more clear, unfiltered understanding of our history. It informs our efforts to construct a more just, more progressive, more equitable, peaceful, and prosperous human state. In this effort, our policies must be informed and intentional and well publicized and understood. The late great lyricist Robert Nesta Marley alerts us that, and I quote, "If you know your history, then you would know where you are coming from. Then you wouldn't have to ask me who the heck I think I am." It is this spirit of intentionality mandated by the Prime Minister that we shall imminently seek mass publication of the first ever modern Bahamian history text. And the curriculum. It is why we now begin the revision of the geography curriculum. It is why Junkanoo is being integrated into the core subjects of the curriculum, from primary school to high school. It is why groundwork is underway to incorporate rake and scrape into the music curriculum. The committee for the creation of a national museum has been established, and the chairman of that committee is here, and work is underway. And now we seek the location for the National Library, where these papers will ultimately be handed over and will reside. These modest steps are being taken to elevate the joy, the tears, the failures, and triumphs of our people as we continue on our quest for the refinement and bolstering of our national identity. The Prime Minister began this journey, as we heard, on a recent trip to London in the United Kingdom, where he visited the National Archives in that country and viewed the Bahamas collection housed there. And he is here this morning to oversee this formal handover of archival records. I ask that you stand and join me in heartily welcoming him to this podium. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and please be seated. I adopt the protocol that has been established, and whereas we are talking about a handover, forgive me if I say repatriation of our records. Yeah, we have to repatriate all of our records, and this is just a part of it. There was another exercise that I was engaged in several years ago with one of our iconic Bahamian, Sir Charles Carter, who was working on repatriation of all of our music that dates back to the 1800s from Smithsonian. And that's a record, that's an effort that we must continue to repatriate those records as well. And as we've been hearing, what has been highlighted here is the records that speaks to the circumstances and the debate and what occurred that led up to our independence. But there are a number of things that occurred on that journey to independence. Right? And so in that effort, we have to understand some of those things so we can understand who we are. And there's the record of what I call the trial of Black Dick. That's also being donated to us. I will speak to that because, Black Dick was from Cat Island. It happened in Cat Island. It's called at the Hunter's Estate. So today, we are reclaiming a part of our history, an essential piece of who we are as Bahamians. When I talk of Bahamians, we Bahamians, we drive on the left. I was reminded by Minister Mitchell the other day, we Bahamian, we drive on the left. Let me write the dates. We say, we write the day first, the month, and then the year. And we reverse back. We reverse back. And are coming directly. Well, that's just Bahamians. So when you think of the trial of Black Dick, and that those records are just not an artifact of the past. It's a story of resilience, and that's what I want to first uplift. It's a story of resilience, courage, and defiance. One that brings us closer to the lives of those who endured unimaginable hardship, but still found the strength to fight back. When I first learned about Black Dick, I thought of him not just as a historical figure, but as someone who could have been any one of us. An enslaved man, a father, a leader, navigating a world that denied him basic humanity. Yet, even under the cruelest conditions, he stood up, he resisted. And he didn't resist only for himself, but for his community, for all those who shared his suffering. So this moment holds special meaning for me, being from Cat Island. Many of you know that Cat Island has a deep history, and in many ways, it is the soul of our nation. The story of the trial of Black Dick began not far from where my roots are, at Golden Grove Plantation, or the Hunters Plantation, where Black Dick, an enslaved man, made a stand against his oppressors. The story of Black Dick is one that resonates with me personally. His master shot at him, and he shot back. He was put on trial. The master was not. He was hung, and the master still thrived. That was that story. The story of Black Dick is a powerful reminder of that resistance. As I said, in December 1831, he, along with another enslaved people on the estate of Joseph Hunter, took a stand on their rights. Hunter had refused to give them their observed rest days after Christmas. And under his leadership, Black Dick, they defied his orders. And armed with muskets, he and his sons surrounded the plantation in an act of rebellion. Although the uprising didn't lead to any fatalities, it was a clear act of defiance. For his courage, as I said, he paid with his life. He was hung, I think, on the Eastern Parade. His sacrifice is a testament to the lengths our ancestors went to and for justice. I often wonder what must have been going through his mind during those moments of defiance, knowing the consequences he might face, knowing the risks, yet still choosing to stand firm. It's a kind of bravery that resonates with all of us today as we reflect on our shared past. His story reminds us of the unshakable spirit of those who came before us, their determination to fight for their dignity, and their belief that no matter how bleak the present, the future could be brighter. These documents that's going to be handed, I want us all, some of you, to just read the trial, outlining the trial of Black Dick, are a powerful symbol of resistance. He wasn't just standing up to his master. He was standing up to an entire system of oppression. His trial and the events that led to it were about reclaiming some sense of agency in a world that offered him none. Receiving those documents today We're not just bringing a piece of history home. We are restoring a past of a part of ourselves by placing it in our national archives. We are ensuring that the story of Black Dick and the stories of so many like him, like poor Black Kate, will be remembered and honored. We are making sure that future generations, the young who are here today, will know who they are, where they come from, and the strength that runs in their veins. I think of the young Bahamians who will come to the National Archives in the years to come, looking at this document and learning about Black Dick's trial. They won't just see an old piece of paper. They'll see a reflection of themselves, a reminder that even in the darkest times, our ancestors found a way to rise. They'll see that courage and resilience are part of our identity. I want to just repeat that courage and resilience are part of our identity as Bahamians. And they will understand that the fight for justice is not just a thing of the past, but a legacy that we continue today. And as I often say when I wear another hat, be brave. Black Dick's story is not just about resistance. It is about reclaiming our narrative. For too long, the voices of people like him have been hidden, their stories untold. But today, we have the opportunity to ensure that his story and the stories of so many others are given the respect they deserve. This moment also brings to mind the broader issue of reparations for the Caribbean people. The horrors of slavery left a deep generational wound in our communities, and the fight for justice and reparatory justice is far from over. This document and Black Dick's story reminds us that while we cannot undo the past, we can work toward acknowledging the harm done and seeking meaningful redress. The call for reparations isn't simply about financial compensation. Let me be clear about that. It's not about financial compensation. It's about recognizing the enduring impact of centuries of exploitation and ensuring that the legacy of slavery is addressed with honesty and integrity. As Caribbean nations, we stand united in our demand for justice for generations who came before us, and for those who are still living with the consequences of that brutal history. So as we accept these documents, including that of the trial of Black Dick, into our national archives, we must also commit to telling these stories fully and honestly. This is how we honor our past, not by looking away from the difficult truths, but by confronting them, preserving them, and learning from them. So I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our friends in the United Kingdom and to you, Thomas, for making this moment possible. Your recognition of the importance of this history and your commitment to repatriating it to its rightful place is something we deeply appreciate. Baroness Chapman, we do so. These documents will serve as a powerful reminder of the struggle of our ancestors and the struggles that they faced and the incredible resilience they showed in the face of unimaginable adversity. And all of these challenges and resilience and their overcoming obstacles are part of our journey to that momentous moment in 1973 when we became independent. And as we move forward, let this moment be a call to action, a reminder that we must continue to uncover, preserve, and honor the stories of those who fought for their freedom, their dignity, and their future. And as I said, in receiving all of these documents, we honor, particularly that of Black Dick, we honor not only the man himself, but the legacy of resistance. I think that is important. The legacy of resistance that lives on in every Bahamian today. We are connected to him, to his courage, and to the hope that he represented. I want to thank you for being here today to witness this important chapter in our history. And thank you for joining me in remembering that our past is not just a story, it's a living, breathing part of who we are. I want to thank you for this.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. Black Dick's story is one of resilience, strength, and courage. And I'm sure our young friends in the back, your speech would give them that courage to want to fight for causes in this great country. Words that came out: social justice, reparations. These are words that we should be using in the 21st century Bahamas to fight for common causes. Thank you for inspiring us with that message. I look forward to reading more of these documents. I can't wait, Ms. Williams, to get my hands on some of them, but thank you for inspiring us. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite Prime Minister back to the podium area. And Baroness, we're going to invite you to come because we want to do this handover ceremony as well as our Minister of Education. There is another box, I'm told, that is to come. Okay. And we want to invite Mr. Tom Hartley to come also. He stepped out. I think he went to get another gift. So we seem to get a lot of goodies today, like the little children will say. I'm so excited. Anna. Yeah. Okay, so at this time, ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing. I need us to clear the way so our students can see history in the making. All of that information that we would have heard mentioned today, all of independence is being passed on, all of our history leading up to independence, the fight for it, and 10 years after. So please, you can get your cameras at this time. Be a part of history in the making. And so we're going to do the handover at this time. So at this time, what you're witnessing, colleagues, friends, Bahamians, everyone, history in the making as the British government is handing over archival documents on all of independence related to our country. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for this moment. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, distinguished guests. And at this time, We're going to ask our minister to come back. We have a special gift. Baroness, I should have asked you to remain standing. Please, we have a special gift for you from the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Hold on. I'm going to let Minister share her little remarks on it.
No, I said it's a bikini for the beach.
You'd find inside your bag a lot of sweet treats, as well as some emblems that all represent all things Bahamian. And so we hope you enjoy them in your spare time. So thank you so much, Baroness. Okay, at this time, we're going to ask all of our dignitaries to please remain seated. We're going to do the vote of thanks, and then we are going to ask that the British delegation remain here because we need to take some more photos, and our Prime Minister. So at this time, we're going to call Ms. Williams, Patrice Williams, to give the vote of thanks.
Good morning. I stand on the established protocol as I present my vote of thanks. Mr. Hartley and I are great buddies. He visited us last July and he had a tour of the archives and he was quite intrigued on what we were doing. So we have quite a relationship. And this morning, I just want to say that the acquisition of records is one of the key functions of every archival institution. It is an exciting venture which opens up a myriad of possibilities with regards to the arrangement and description of records and the aspect of custodial and administrative history. These migrated records will vet the appetite of not only the historian and the student, but the archivist as well. I look forward to delving into this gold mine of information as I write an article on the evolution of the colonial archives to the Bahamas National Archives. On that note, I should like to thank the British High Commissioner, Mr. Thomas Hartley, for ensuring that these documents were prepared for the ceremony this morning. Thank you, Baroness Chapman, for handing over these valuable records to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education. We are grateful to our Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, Minister of Education, for facilitating this process. And special thanks to you, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, for attending and speaking at this most historic event. Your presence is greatly appreciated. A special debt of gratitude is extended to our MC, Mrs. Pearline Baker. She did a fabulous job. Miss Penniman for the prayer, P.S. Ambrister for the welcome, Deputy High Commissioner Katie Swartz for liaising with us through this process, Mrs. Therese Carey Curry, Deputy Director of Education, Director of Education, Mrs. Dominique McCartney Russell, Mrs. Deborah Pierce, the Minister's Secretary, the Ministry's Communications Section for the graphic design and the live streaming, my colleagues, the executive managers, and all our special guests and diplomats. To you, I say thank you once, thank you twice, thank you 3 times. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williamson. So at this time, we're going to invite the Prime Minister, the delegates from the British government, and any of those distinguished directors to please come in so we can take some photos with you. Come. We also invite our minister to come in as well. P.S. I see present here today, Prime Minister, is Mr. Philip Smith for Social Justice. Please raise your hand, His Excellency, for Social Justice and Reparations. Please raise so we can see. Please come up, sir, so we can take a photo. Director Cornish, Mr. Toot, Dr. Christopher Curry. We see Ms. Kim Ouden Stubbs. Some we may have to see, so please come up. All of the invited guests from all of those historic sites. Mr. Christopher Davis, representing Clifton Heritage. Please come in. Ms. Major from Bahamas Historical Society. How can I forget I'm a member and soon to be secretary? So please come. Okay, we're gonna ask officials from the Department of Education, please do not move. We would need you to take some photos as well. Okay, good. When you ask everyone who are seated to remain, we're going to ask officials from the Department of Education to please come at this time and stand at the back. DPS DeVoe, Undersecretary Culmer, Deputy Director Curry, Director Consultant Clark, Deputy Director Sinclair, DPS Carey, DPS Burrows, Assistant Director Culmer. Who else I see? Assistant Director Hart. Come. Who else I miss? I don't see Dr. Roll. Okay, we're gonna ask the students we're gonna ask the students to be along with education officers in a little bit. So students, just line up first, please, so you can stand after this round of photos are taken. So please allow them to line up so we can get them to stand. Okay, where is she? my face.
Give me this one.
Yeah, we do too. Okay, sorry, that's a lot. Okay, this is our last group. Our students that come to take a photo and education officers, Ms. Penniman, I see Mrs. Gonzalez Gomez, Ms. Bo, all that. Please come. Come, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Wells. Sorry. Ms. James. No, they could just fit. Yes, I did one. Yes, the students. Please go up and take a photo with the students, please. Eddie Claridge, did you take your photo? I'm so sorry, I didn't even see you. You go up and take a photo with the students, please. Thank you. They wanted a video. If you just hold for 5 minutes, Prime Minister, we just do the video for our Ministry of Education. 1 minute, 1 minute we ask. If you just, yes, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just hold on. Thank you, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you so much and have a great day, everyone.